Joey, go ahead. Start us in the room.
Um, General observations on the way your defense played against Alabama. What's your big takeaway about what you
We got to get better at stopping the run. I can tell you that. That was disappointing to me.
Yeah.
There were some times that I thought we won some one-on-ones, which is good to see. I mean, the package is the package, but the players are everything in it. So, a guy like Day that was, they've got somebody on him, they got somebody accounting for, and he just wins. So I thought there was a handful of plays where our guys just went out there and they won, which was really good to see. We just have to learn how to finish in the fourth quarter. So we talked to them that Sunday, and we said, this is what good defenses do. They're able to go into a game that's a close ball game like that, and they're able to finish. And we didn't do that. Hit the 8-minute mark, and that's where I think the score was 10-3, and we got to hold up. Yeah, we got to hold up because that's critical. They flipped the field on us and they scored, and we lost any chance to win the ball game. So there's all of a learning curve for everybody. Every week is a little bit different in terms of trying to fix things and trying to get guys to understand situational football. And every time that we come in, we can watch film and we can just learn from it. So it's going to be a long process.
It appears that at least at the moment you have Day in a place where you're able to take advantage of everything he can offer you. Could you speak about just getting him, seeing what he had, and deciding where to play him?
Yeah, it was like early when we evaluated tape, and then got a chance to work with these guys during the spring. The one thing that he is, and he's got some experience, but he's super intelligent kid. I mean, football wise, he's like a coach, and then he's explosive, and he's a tough kid. You know what I'm saying? Right. So it's like when you have somebody with burst and quickness that's smart and it's tough. That is tough, then you could do a lot of things with them. But we started to notice some of the stuff they could do in the spring. Then we kind of hone in on everybody's skill set. I've talked about this beforehand. I think it's important that you understand what you have as players and not to try to stuff a package into people that don't have certain skill sets to actually execute it. So he's an example of somebody that's really good at coming off the edge, underneath coverage, things like that. And those are the things you want to do with him where he will have success.
Yeah. I know he mentioned, he thought he might be leaving, and then he realized, no, I want to stay. And then you were involved along with all the other coaches. Just what about the process of getting to know him and making sure he knew he had a place here?
Yeah, I think there was a lot of uncertainty. I mean, if you put yourself in the player's shoes and they've been around a coaching staff and then trying to figure out us. And I think in the beginning, initially, it takes, especially younger guys, some time to figure out what guys are about. And we've stayed true to what we believe in. And he's a great example of somebody that just worked his tail off and deserved the chance to be a starter. So I think that, especially if you have experience, you just want the truth. You know what I'm saying? You don't want any games. You don't want any closed door meetings, and you just want to feel everything's on the up and up. And I think a lot of those guys that decided to stay around, I think that's probably a credit to our staff that we did stay consistent, and they saw that. Now it just comes down to what kind of role I was going to play in. And fortunately for us, it took a little time to get kind of established rotation off of it, but we're glad he hung around and is doing what he's doing right now.
I know you describe him as tough. Coach Golesh said the same thing. He's definitely a tough kid. There's different kinds of tough.
Yeah.
I'm sure you know where he comes from, some of the things he's been through.
Yeah.
So just on its face, regardless of whether he's playing football or whatever, be there and to be a college graduate and a guy that looks like he's moving forward in life.
Yeah.
How impressed are you with his ability to be who he is?
I just think it's tremendous. But if you know the insides of the kid, I mean, it makes sense. It's just the thing I like. There's some guys that are perceived as tough, but they're really frauds. That's not
fake
even
tough.
close. Yeah, fake tough. And guys that always try to act tough. He's not that. He's as good a human being as there is on the planet. But when they go in between the lines, that's that's what he is. Because that's all he's accustomed to. He played ball probably when he was 5 years old, and that's the way the game was taught to him. And there's a physical aspect to it. There's you're in a position of contact. He's at a ton of contact because, whether we're blitzing him or taking on people, and, that can wear and tear on somebody's body. But that to me shows me the physical toughness. And then I don't ever see him getting rattled either. I mean, sometimes like when you give up a play, you can go in the tank a little bit. I never see that. He can push through it. And I think that's being an older person. Some of the times the younger guys, the rookies get in there and they have one bad play and it just affects them through the whole game. But that's the toughness part. And it's not even remotely close to fake. He's a tough kid.
Right. And it seems like just talking to him too, that if you are fake, you don't have a shot with him.
Yeah.
If you're authentic and he trusts you, you're good.
Yeah. But I think
Is it as
that
simple as that with him?
well, I think that's everybody. I know this, but if I worked at a place and I thought everything was, was Mickey Mouse, or I thought everything was an agenda, or I'd have a hard time with that. I think anybody that's a professional that really cares, they want roles, they want organization, and they just want to have an opportunity. And I think if you stay true to that, then I think that's a fair shake.
Okay.
Go ahead, Leah.
Coach, I had some sound issues, so if you already answered this, I apologize, but it all starts up front. The fact that your guys up front could go toe-to-toe with Alabama, they're light years ahead of last year. How proud are you of those guys up front?
Yeah, I am. I think KP has done like an outstanding, Chad's working our B backer position. When we first got here, just the fundamentals and techniques that are necessary, like pad level, hand placement, and all that stuff. And, like I said beforehand with KP, I think the world of the guy. To me, there's no doubt in my mind that he's the best D-line coach in the country. But there has to be a little bit of patience with it too. We brought in some bigger body guys during the transfer portal window that we had to address some of the needs that we had. And we're starting to become stouter. Shad was out there, did really blue. I think, man, there's a whole bunch of guys that I thought played stout. And, we'll see. Like the biggest point for us is we got to continue to improve and practice, and we got to go do it again on Saturday.
Coach, you've made the point that you were going to be aggressive. You want your players to be aggressive. Saturday against Alabama, it looked like you dialed up every blitz imaginable, and it was like sharks seeing blood in the water. Your guys got after it, didn't they?
Well, once again, I go back to sometimes you can beat people with some scheme, which did happen on Saturday, but a lot of the times it's player based. Now, there's no scheme when a tackle goes out to pass pro data and he just beats them underneath or beats them over the top. You know what I'm saying? Or Stokesy beats the back. So those things sometimes they can get overplayed. This is about players. Players make plays. We try to organize, we try to look at film and try to give them the best opportunity, but structure it in a way that we're not asking them to do something that's outside their skill set. But those kids, for the most part during that game, they were the guys that won. That's what I'm proud about, is because there was multiple times where we just beat one-on-one matchups. And if you're going to be good, that's the only way it can happen, because there's no I can't foresee the future in terms of making the absolute perfect call on every snap. But when we do something and we can execute it and guys can win, that helps a lot.
Coach, last question. Thank you for your time. How important is to build on that effort going into Rice?
It's huge. It's absolutely huge. To me, it's okay, you did some things. Now, can you do it again? I mean, it's absolutely critical. I think our players understand that. I know we do as coaches, to make sure, and especially now you're talking about league games at home, which is critical, and we got to show up. There's no doubt about it. I like the way that we've done things in the last 2 days of practice. It's been professional. We're working through some things in terms of what we're doing, but it's going to be absolutely critical that we continue to progress.
Thank you, Coach. Good luck Saturday.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Coach.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Joey. We'll start.
Yeah. Byram, at times when everybody is covered, it's still a positive play with his feet. He has this ability to just take a bad look and turn it into a first down, which I know is great. But what's the balance? I mean, you don't want to discourage him from being instinctive. What's the balance from him? You wanting him to run or be a second more patient?
Yeah, there are definitely some times in the football game that you want him to really just trust his fundamentals in the pocket. And go through his progression and stay in there as long as he can, you know, till the last second. And there are times where there's not the chance to do that. So, and he's got to make a decision to pull it down, get away from the trouble, and make the play a better play, which he's proven that he's, you know, really good at doing. So that is for any quarterback, much less a young quarterback, you know, a fine line of telling them, hey, you got to stay in here, stay in here, stay in here, stay in here. When, you know, he might see something on the field at the time where he knows he can get out of there and go get it with his feet. So you don't want to tell him that, you know, he's not allowed to use his feet. So I think for him, it's just continuing to play one play at a time. And as much as anything, to have really good technique and fundamentals in the pocket, so he gives himself a chance to see the things that are down the field before he takes off.
Yeah. So still with a guy who's just started his 5th game, would you say he's, you know, well above the average right now in terms of his decision making and ability to pull all those factors together?
Oh, I mean, I would definitely say he's been well above average. And he'd be the first one to tell you that there's so much growth to be made in his game that, you know, he gets frustrated when it's not perfect. And he's a competitor. He wants to do the right things for the football team to get first downs and to get touchdowns. And, you know, that's part of being a quarterback is learning when it's not always right. You make a mistake, whatever it is, to be able to put the mistake behind you and go play the next play. But, you know, he's done a lot of really good things for our offense and our football team to put us in situations to compete and win games. Yeah. So at the end of the day, that's his number one job, is to give us a chance to win a football game. And he's definitely done that every week.
And the receiving core in general, we spoke to Coach Bulch about that too. It's just a mixed bag of guys with all sorts of places they've been, levels of experience. Sean Atkins come from where he is. Are you still just feeling out kind of who's where and what the best combo is? And it's just this learning process that's continuing
every day. You know, it's a daily process for those guys growing and getting healthy, you know, and practicing and getting on the same page with the quarterbacks, because the fact of the matter is, and, you know, it's not an excuse for our play, but we need to be more in sync, you know, and we haven't been there when we need to be there. So they know it. The quarterbacks know it. We as an offensive unit know it. We have to get better. So whatever it is or isn't, you know, like the goal is the next day, we have to get better, you know, across the board.
Do you see their ability to get open more often? Is that the way they're running the routes? Is it just a microscopic fundamental thing, or how do you?
Yeah, I mean, it's not that we don't have open receivers. You know, it might not be every single play where there's a guy, you know, busting loose with a whole bunch of separation, but there are guys that are open. And whether it's a breakdown at the quarterback position, whether it's a breakdown in the protection, whatever it is, we've just been inconsistent somewhere too much. And the guys that are open, sometimes they're not getting a chance to catch it, or we don't throw it to them, whatever it is. And there's definitely been some opportunities for us to make plays on footballs, and we haven't been great there at sometimes too. So it's across the board. There isn't just one thing that stands out for us. It's, man, we got to keep getting better everywhere. Like, we're 8 of 11 guys doing a really good job, and man, that doesn't add up to execution. You know, we need 11 guys all the time to do their jobs, you know, at a high level to execute.
Yeah. In sync was 11 for 11.
That's right.
Go ahead, Leo.
Coach, early in the game, your running back just steamrollers the safety. That sent a message that to Alabama, we're not backing down. How much of that resonated over to the offense?
I didn't get to feel a ton of that, you know, up in the box, just the emotion piece of it. But, man, it was a violent play. And I think when you watch it on video, you can see that it brought some juice to our football team and to the stadium. And that's exactly what we need. We got to be able to make plays to bring the energy. And that was a big lift for us.
Coach, I know the last thing you expected was to not score a touchdown Saturday. What's the biggest disappointment coming out of Alabama?
Just leaving missed opportunities on the field. You know, it's been the story of the first 3 weeks. You know, we had an opportunity every single game to put points on the board and potentially put games out of reach. And we haven't made the play. We haven't had the discipline and the consistency just to take over and go win the situation, win the football game. We haven't done it. And we have to learn how to do that because we get opportunities every single week and it's across the board in our unit. We have to learn that no one's going to hand you the football game. You have to go take it away from whoever the opponent is by doing your job better for longer. And we've come up short. And we got to get better. But our guys see it on the video. They see the opportunities are right there. And we're not making them when we need to make them. So it's on our coaches, it's on our players, and we got to continue to grow.
Coach, last question, and thank you for your time today. You got an 18-year-old quarterback that started 4 games. Is this just the maturation process of a kid learning how to play Division I football?
Yeah, I'd say he's proven that he can play at a really high level. Even though he's only played in a handful of games and started those games. But experience is one of the most important things you can have at any position. At quarterback, when you don't have a ton of experience, it's easy at times to have real confidence in all the situations, you know, that you get thrown into because maybe you haven't been in them yet. So for Byram, he just has to continue to just be him. He works hard every single day. He's a really good practice player. He's doing everything in his power to keep getting better. And he's got to be able to take these experiences that he has 1 week at a time and keep moving it forward. But he'll be just fine. And, you know, I'm really excited about what he's brought to the table so far.
Thanks, Coach. Good luck Saturday.
Thank you.
Thank you, Coach. Appreciate your time.
Can I ask one more?
Yep.
When you look at all the factors that could lead to better sustained drives and more productivity, where does productivity and consistency on first down rank in your mind in terms of, you know, helping the improvement?
Yeah, I think every down is really important. That whatever the best play that we can have, you know, whether it's throwing the ball, maybe it's throwing the ball away and not forcing a throw, whatever it is, that we just make really good decisions at the quarterback position, you know, whether it's first down, second down, third down. But where we got into big trouble is when we got behind the sticks and then you wind up in a bunch of third and 11s and 12s and 13s. We were pretty good when it was 3rd and 2 and 3 and 4. We did pretty good, like 75%.
You were so ahead of the sticks in the first half.
Right.
Completely different
mindset. So absolutely, it's everything. It's decision making, it's the execution, and man, 4 yards on first down is a whole lot better than nothing. And then you get to second, and it's a manageable situation, and you're not feeling the pressure of being in 2nd and 10. So every down is so important. And for our group, the discipline that it takes and the detail to execute every single play across the board to the best of your ability as a unit, man, that's where we lack the consistency there. So, and I've said it, you know, multiple times today, like our guys see it on the video and it's, man, they don't feel good, you know, when they turn on the video and like, man, there's another opportunity. Man, we could have had a big play, got off the field, could have had a first down, could have avoided a sack or a penalty, whatever it is. And they're getting better every single day. They're fighting. You know, like we just had a really good practice. Those guys are out there and they're locked into it and they're in it for each other. And that's what we got to continue to be.
Thank you.
All right.
Appreciate it.